This is Dolly. I was planning on her to be the star of today's episode, but she was being too grumpy and decided she'd just rather have slept. Instead, you're stuck with me. But we can still learn from Dolly, because if you noticed, there was one thing she didn't have: an udder. But why? Well, I have a theory. So recently, as surprisingly as this sounds for a man of my build, I went out for a walk. I went out in the local area and saw some beautiful countryside. There was, however, one thing, well, two things, that caught my attention the most. Cows and horses. They are both mammals, as are we, as are many other creatures. The question that came to mind was, why do they have udders while other mammals don't? Well, actually, the first question that came to mind was, do horses have teats or udders? A quick Google informed me that horses do in fact have udders. They're a far cry from the four-pronged pink bags we all associate with udders, but udders nonetheless. Something I never really knew. But anyway, back to the main question as why they have udders while others don't. It seems to be a topic that hasn't been touched upon in too much detail. After a few searches, little, if not anything, came up on the subject. What did come up, however, is, do dogs have udders? Why does a cow have 4 udders if it only has 1 calf? And a personal favourite, when a cow dies, does the milk in its udder turn to cheese? I even searched it on YouTube and little came up. However, I found out there are various channels and videos called MooTube, which gives me faith. Instead, I asked, why don't humans have udders? Which yielded far more results. The answer as to why humans don't have udders seems to come from the fact that we evolved from apes who have breasts. Side note, the difference between breasts, teats and udders. Teats is just another word for nipple, so both breasts and udders actually have teats. Breasts, on the likes of an ape or yourself, are separate mammary glands, while udders, like the ones on a cow or a horse and a sheep, are one mammary gland constructed in a way to have multiple teats. Now you know. Back to the why don't humans have udders question, which has basically been answered due to the fact that we come from apes. So why don't apes have udders? Well, when I went to Google why don't apes have udders, the top result was why don't apes have beards, which despite being a very alarming issue, isn't exactly what we're after. I think it's safe to say not much research has been done into this. So let's start the theory part of this useless theory. See what I did there? Useless theory, the name of the don't worry. Well, I like to think these various animals have teats or udders depending on where their youth feed from, as of course the main use of these mammary glands is to feed their young. Apes can stand on their hind legs, but feel much more comfortable just strolling around on all fours. With this kind of build, you think it would make more sense for an ape to have an udder, much like other quadruped animals. You must remember though, apes like us have fingers. Pretty good grippy ones that allow their young to grab onto their mother's chest hair and suckle. Add in the fact that apes tend to live in trees, having a baby suckle an udder while a mother swings around in trees perhaps isn't the best idea, no matter how funny the mental image is. As we evolved, we kept the breasts, but replaced grippy fur with cloves, and instead of just hoping our children to just hold on to us, we evolved better dexterity in our hands so we could just hold them. Okay, so we pretty much explained as to why humans don't have udders. But that wasn't the question we set out to answer. If we followed the logic that animals in all 4 should have udders, while animals who stand upright should have breasts, then surely dogs should have udders and their puppy should suckle from below like we see with a foal or a calf. Of course we know that is far from the truth. What they have isn't like breasts or udders at all. It's just a row of teats down their belly, much like a pig or cats. Meaning that when these animals want to feed their young, they just lie on their side and let them go for it. Why don't we see little puppies suckling from below while the mother stands? Well, we've deduced that the location of the mammary gland all comes down to where the young can reach it. And that's what this is all about. Here's the thing, you know that cute image we have of puppies? Yeah, well, they don't come out like that. It's funny, puppies seem to be born before they're even finished cooking in the womb. They're born deaf and blind, are able to do very little minus just wiggle around. It's only by about 3 weeks into existence a puppy can just start to take its first little steps. On average, a calf is standing on its own legs 2 hours after birth. With calves, they can reach so quickly for the milk on their own after birth. Puppies aren't as lucky. They need their mother's help, meaning she has to lie down to feed them. Without the mother lowering herself to help feed the puppies, they would probably die. Yet the love and care the mother has for her puppies stops that from happening. There's something beautiful about that. Well, that's what I think anyway. That's all from me. But what about you guys? Are you perhaps an actual scientist and not just a kid on the internet who actually knows what they're talking about? Why do you think dogs don't have udders? Were you breastfed? Are you still breastfed? Leave your answers and just anything else you have to say down below. And remember guys, this is all just theory and my opinions. Little of it is probably even true. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave it a like. And if you want to see more interesting videos and more from me and more from my face and more about breasts, there probably won't be more about breasts, then please subscribe to the channel. That's all for now, internauts. But always remember to stay open. Thank you. Also guys, elephants have breasts. Like, actual breasts. Why aren't we talking about this?